Jelly Roll was in the news for his apolitical stance at the Grammy, right? But Killer Mike was also asked at the Grammys about Bill Maher, saying that he thinks celebrities that make political statements at award shows is essentially performative.
Bill Maher on Friday, he did one of his new rules was about people who try to use red carpets at award shows for activism. Doesn't think it's the right place, thinks that we should all kind of forget about it for a couple hours and then get back to it. Where do you fall in that conversation?
I mean, he's a 70-year-old guy, and I can understand that he understands life is short and you can't take too much time worrying, and you need to just give yourself a couple hours of fun. I get that. As a 50-year-old guy, though, with an 18-year-old daughter, I'm not going to not take an opportunity to speak and give platform to things that people are actively working on. So it's a balance to me. To me, if I answer 7 or 8 questions, give one question to the people to say, hey, this is going on locally, and support that. So I love Bill because when no one was an activist about marijuana, he was an advocate for it. I love Bill because no one was an advocate for progressive politics. He did it, and it's built a career around it. So I can agree with my 70-year-old friend that sometimes you need to give yourself a couple hours to take a break, but I'm never mad when someone, and especially an artist, is compelled to say something, says something.
Do you see my chain, ho?
Yeah, I see that chain now.
Yeah.
That was LP in the back, right?
Yeah.
Look like
he been working out or something, or he on one of them GLP-1s.
So,
looking good there, Killer Mike.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he did look like he's slimming down a little bit.
Yeah, for sure.
So what is the role of an artist, but if not to speak truth to power on the world around them, when you get that opportunity?
I think it's whatever compels you at the time. And if you're not going to have something to say when all eyes are on you and you have something on your heart and you don't say it, you're being inauthentic. Yeah. Not just to whatever cause that you think is important and needs a certain spotlight, but you're being inauthentic to yourself. Like if you've been watching the news and you feel compelled to say something, whether it was police brutality, whether it be, immigration, whether it just be, women's issues, whether it be artist issues, you should say what's on your heart and be authentic in that moment. I don't think that when someone says, oh, we just need a break. Well, you know what? There's a lot of things we just can't take a break from in this world.
Yeah.
Right now is not a time to where we should say, oh, everybody, if you want to have fun and take a break, watch something on Netflix or whatever streaming service you have. But when you are annoyed, if you will, that people have something on their heart that's important and is important not only to themselves, but perhaps to the world. And you're like, I don't have time for that. That's about you. And like I said, he's 70 years old. Maybe he just wants to watch the show now. But I think a lot of this is also Bill Maher is now, he's an old white man. Where he has been, I used to be, I'm somebody who was a big fan of his. And I remember why he's on HBO as opposed to ABC affiliates.
Sure.
So he did have a very progressive streak about him, but now he's just like old man yelling at cloud a lot of times, which is disappointing, but at the same time I understand.
It's always been him though. He is a very classic liberal. He's not a leftist.
No.
And so he's very progressive in a liberal sense, which makes sense for a lot of his politicals. But anyways, not to stray too far.
So I mean, like I said, he still says some things where I'm like, okay, yeah, but I mean, it's been a weird kind of descent into something else since that Ice Cube incident that we talked about maybe on the 50th episode of this show. And like I said, a lot of times people say, oh, well, he must be very progressive just because of his, advocation for the, decriminalization and taking Schedule I of cannabis, in as far as the United States government is concerned. And once again, that's something I feel like, let's get that money in the banks, y'all. But, I'm not going to talk about that right now. That's on my heart for a later date. But I just don't think that, if you are an artist and you are compelled to say something and that is something that is authentic, it's not something that somebody handed you a note card about, then you need to go ahead and express yourself in that moment.
I think that's the part. You talked about authenticity. I think preparation is also very important because I think sometimes we have a lot of musicians or people that are popular that will have a spur of the moment comment. It's not prepared. It's not thought out. And things happen. We all have them. But if you have a platform of this magnitude, you have to be authentic, but you also have to be calculated and prepared with your thoughts because you have so much of an audience that you can affect by what you say. And I think that, to me, is what I see. It's like, yeah, the role is for you to be an artist, to be authentic, speak your mind. That's cool. I'm not mad at that. But sometimes we see a lot of artists that get out here and say a lot of bullshit. I'm like, fam, what were you thinking about when you said that? Hindsight's always 20/20. But for me, I lean on the preparation. Like, be prepared when you're going to say something and know what the hell you talking about when somebody asks you about something.
Or actually,
to me, that's important.
My thing with the artist is actually do what you're either protesting or talking about. So like, don't just do it because it's hot. It's a hot topic.
Point.
The reason why I brought it up when we were having the Kendrick conversation is because people were upset that he didn't use this platform to say anything about what's going on and how he feels.
Right.
That's what my art's for.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to say. To me, Kendrick actually uses his platform in order to address these issues. So when we talk about people that don't say anything about nothing, you can't point at him and say that. So the people that are upset that he didn't say nothing, I mean, he just performed at the Super Bowl and got a whole bunch of right-wing people up in the air because of his performance.
True.
When he's performed on the Grammys dressed in jail attire, he's performed on the Grammys or at the Super Bowl again, addressing all of these issues. Every time he opens his mouth and gets a Grammy, but he's using that to address these issues that we all go through on the regular. So I don't feel like every artist has to use them accepting their award as their time to say something if that's not really what's on their heart. You know what I'm saying? Some people express themselves differently. You can't point your finger at somebody and say they had to say something.
Jump in, B.
I'm conflicted about that. But,
you want to go along?
No, you go ahead.
Oh.
I feel I was conflicted. Go ahead. No.
I remember you was conflicted.
I knew you were going to say that. Good, well played. Well played. You do your homework.
That's what I did.
Yeah.
I don't know if what I'm going to say really adds to this at all. But
this is my favorite type of comment.
It was like, Superhead was your girlfriend.
Oh.
You know what I mean?
Who's girl? First I was like, who you talking with?
Yeah, I'm trying.
Bill Maher.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, we all know politicians like to get their dicks up.
Come on.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
It's documented.
Yeah.
Sir.
And there's nothing wrong with that. You know, he was the first, he
actually took her out places.
That's what I'm saying. Like, this is one of the first guys that I know that openly supported hoe culture. What does Amber Rose say?
Horticulture?
No, that's plants.
I know.
The hoe walk.
Yeah,
the slut walk.
Yeah,
Lord, I knew what it was.
I'm not calling
so
Amber Rose a slut. That's something
She
that
called
she
herself.
did.
She did.
Yeah, that's something she did. So,
Turned 21 when he was in before he.
Speaking truth to power. Anyways.
Yeah. So he's always been open to outside thinking. You know, he's always been open to people thinking outside of the box. Progressive thinking. You know what I mean? So why can't I get on this stage and say that Jesus does not belong to one political party? Why can't I get on this stage and condemn Donald Trump for, all the things he's doing out in this country?
Now, 38,000 mentions in the Epstein files.
Exactly. You know what I mean? We're not talking about Pusha T and Jay, are we?
No.
Okay.
We're talking about
something coming up.
No,
about
Donald
that
Trump
later.
has been mentioned 38,000 times.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Anyways.
Freaky boy.
He is.
100%.
Freaky.
Hey, be what they say.
Freaky Don.
It's documented.
Yeah, Freaky Don.
Freaky boy.
Freaky boy is crazy. Freaky boy.
But, hey, look. God bless, man. That's all I can say, man.
Yeah.
Jump in, Lone.
Talk
What you
about
got,
your
man?
confliction.
Talk to me, Lone.
I have a confliction between the artist and the platform conversation that you're saying. Because even though Kendrick has done many things and he's been outspoken about a lot of stuff in a very particular manner, there's also a very interesting, I don't know. It's complicated for me in general because from one perspective, he's a black artist, and being a black artist and being a black person in the United States of America, it's not necessarily his responsibility to be out here and to be speaking on things that black people in general not inflicting on others. It's white supremacy and it's whiteness. So from one perspective, speak out if you feel the need to. But from the other perspective, I can't say that I don't wish more hip hop artists were like Vic Mensa. And to where like he gets on, he grabs an orange, walks over to the camera and just spits facts and is actually talking about everything that is happening, going on in the world right now on a repetitive basis. And me as somebody over here that kind of feels, I mean, you guys know the situation that I'm in. It kind of feels silenced in a particular type of way.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Like I appreciate that a lot more than I appreciate the silence, I guess is what I'm saying. And I wish that we had more of that in general from people like this. So in one perspective, I kind of understand what Bill Maher is saying, and I don't like Bill Maher at all. But like, I understand the performative nature of the celebrity, and I don't really appreciate that.
Yeah.
But I also appreciate when people do actually say something and then follow up with it. And all things considered, it's not nothing to speak on a platform this big because you never know who you're going to influence. So I appreciate that across the board. So I really kind of agree with everything. I don't think this is like a black and white type of thing.
Right.
I kind of agree with what Killer Mike says, to be honest, which is like,
if you feel compelled,
and the same thing, like there's the Jelly Roll thing as well, right? He didn't say anything, but at the same time, he also said at the end, he's like, he said a roundabout way to say, I will be making a statement soon.
So that was his second statement. He actually said something on the stage, which is what he was talking about.
What did he say on the stage?
So on stage, he pretty much alluded to that Jesus Christ does not belong to one political party, which made cause an uproar.
I see. So I didn't know that part. But he did say in the follow-up, I guess the follow-up,
I'm a dumb redneck. I don't know what's going on.
I'm a dumb redneck. I will be making a statement in a couple weeks, is what he said. And from one perspective, we kind of mentioned that. I don't know if we talked about it last night on our meeting or what, but this is kind of what we say we want from people that don't know.
Yeah.
It is like, if you don't know, then shut the hell up, go learn, and then say something about it. And to me, that was him trying to be as accountable, even though he was in his Lil Wayne moment of, I don't know anything that exists. Or, the world is whatever it is. So I can appreciate that for what it is, but there's really no excuse outside of that for not being aware of kind of what's going on right now. Like, what kind of bubble are you in?
Vic is the prime example of what I mean by preparation. Like how he goes into it, he grabs the orange, goes right to the camera, facts.
I don't think that's preparation though.
Is that just who he is?
That's just being aware of what's going on.
That's like Vic is doing this on his own platform. He's not doing it at the Grammys.
What I'm saying is he's aware of what he's talking about, and you can tell that by how he presents it, is what I'm saying.
To me, he's like at the fundamental root of like what hip hop kind of came from and kind of is.
It's kind of him. I would give it to him and Vince Staples, because if you ever have a conversation with Vince Staples, he's going to tell you exactly how he feels about certain things. Vic Mensa is in a unique space because I feel like he's more operating in the activist territory, because that is what his branding has kind of always been. Even like
taking the common route.
I mean, they are from Chicago. Yeah. They all see bullshit that happened in their city. Yeah. And they all got some common sense to where they like to invest.
Well played.
Yeah. They like to, know what's going on politically around them, surrounding areas and things of that nature. I think even Chance the Rapper, all of them are unique in that way.
True.
You know what I'm saying? And I think
Rhymefest.
I think he's found a lane that is bigger than his music, because people don't really talk about Vic Mensa and his music a whole lot anymore.
He dropped a record a couple weeks ago. It was good. I mean, I know what you're saying.
Yeah.
But nobody ever really talked about Vic Mensa's music like that.
Nah.
I really enjoyed Down on My Luck.
And to me, Vic's always been the best out of Save Money. And like Kids These Days was fire.
Kids These Days was the shit.
You know what I mean? But with that being said, I kind of get that, but I feel like nothing about what Vic does feels performative.
Nah, it doesn't feel performative.
Like at all.
I agree.
Like, and that's why it makes sense, because like, okay, you have these other artists that might get on stage and say something, and they're still going to homes in their gated communities. Now, if they're using their platform to speak on it and still going outside and helping aid and do things of that nature, then yeah, that's great. But I think it's fake to get on stage and say something just to be saying something.
I agree. Jump in, B. Take your hand down, bro.
Nothing feels performative about Vic Mensa. Only reason I'm saying this is that conversation he had with Ak. Did that not feel performative?
I think he meant that. I know what you're talking about. You're talking about he's talking about an everyday struggle.
Didn't.
When he was talking about beating him up,
He's talking about everyday struggle.
That was real.
I thought that was real. I thought that was
extremely real.
But if it was really that real, it wouldn't have been no conversation.
He still realizes he's on camera.
Yeah.
Like, do I think he meant what he said? I do.
I could have had that conversation off camera though. No. We could have had that conversation before these cameras got rolling.
I'm gonna get this check too.
Yeah,
I'm gonna get this check too.
Because and I'm gonna let you know exactly how I feel.
Thank you.
Because you're paying me to sit down and talk to
Thank you.
And
so I'm
you're
gonna talk
on
to you
camera.
about. I really wanted to knock your teeth in,
but I'm gonna get this
I'm gonna
money.
be cordial with you right now
Exactly.
because you about to hand me a check.
What's gonna hurt Ak more? Getting punched in the face or getting
checked on camera?
Yeah, I'm with Terry on that one.
So I mean, I get what you're saying, but I think I lean more towards I think it was maybe it was calculated to some degree.
I still think it's authentic.
But it seemed 100% authentic to me.
I think that's authentic, bro.
He was the first person I remember even checking him like that too.
You tried to play him twice with the actor. That's crazy. Go ahead, Jay.
You don't like Vic Mensa, huh?
You just don't like him. You don't like him. You don't like
I love Down on My Luck, and that's not a hip hop record, but I love that record.
You don't like him.
No, I mean, because we talked about it offline last night when we were in prep for this show about Jelly Roll, and like he said, I'm going to do my research. I'm like, okay, because I was ready to come in here and let him have it.
Sure.
Because I'm thinking, okay, you're going to be their new Kid Rock,
right?
Because
dang, that's a bad.
I'm just saying because look, Jelly Roll, he talks about being in the jail cell.
Friend of the show, Jelly Roll.
Yeah, he fooled with us. I think
all he had was that radio, and he had that Bible, and you've got to understand it. First of all, anybody who's been through the system, you already political. And then if you are really about the teachings of Jesus Christ, Jesus was very political. He's talking. The whole thing was talking about flipping tables and speaking truth to power. And we're talking about whether it is you're a believer or not. He was killed by the state. Yep. So how do you talk about Jesus and not want to talk and not understand about being political?